Silence is often misunderstood. In a world where everyone is speaking, posting, debating, and constantly trying to be heard, the power of silence is often ignored. Yet, if you look closely at the people who truly command respect, you'll notice that they are rarely the loudest in the room. In fact, the ones who seem the most magnetic, mysterious, and authoritative are often the ones who speak the least. Silence, when used intentionally, is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is a tool, a strategy, and in many cases, a weapon that allows you to command respect and authority without even trying. The paradox of silence is that by withholding words, you increase their value. By resisting the temptation to fill every gap with noise, you create space, and in that space, people project their own fears, doubts, and insecurities onto you. That's why silence often feels heavier, more powerful, and more intimidating than words ever could. Think about it. Most people cannot stand silence. They rush to fill it. They explain too much. They justify themselves even when no one asked, because the emptiness of silence makes them feel exposed. But the one who can sit in silence, the one who can hold their ground without saying a word, is the one who truly controls the frame. When you don't react immediately, when you don't rush to answer, when you don't reveal everything you think, people start to wonder, did they say too much? Did you catch something they didn't? Are you silently judging them, or do you simply know something they don't? That psychological tension, created by silence, is what makes it so powerful. Even in professional contexts, silence plays a decisive role. Interrogators, for example, know that silence is often the most effective tactic. Ask a question, then stay quiet, and most suspects will eventually start speaking, revealing far more than they intended, just to escape the discomfort of silence. In negotiations, silence after an offer can be devastating. The other party often feels pressured to speak, to justify, to explain, or even to lower their demands, simply because you didn't immediately respond. Silence forces them to fill the space, and in doing so they often give away leverage. In social situations, silence works in a different but equally powerful way. When you are in a group and everyone is talking loudly, competing for attention, the quiet one stands out. People lean in to hear what the quiet person will say, because scarcity creates value. If you speak less, your words matter more. Silence makes you rare, and rare things are always respected. But silence is not just about what you don't say. It's less about how you use it. There are subtle behaviors connected to silence that can instantly change how people perceive you. One of them is the pause. Pausing before you speak doesn't show hesitation. It shows thoughtfulness. A short moment of silence before answering creates anticipation. It makes people lean in, waiting for your response, and when you finally speak, your words carry more weight. Another subtle behavior is replacing words with deliberate actions. A simple nod can often say more than a sentence. A calm, steady gaze can communicate confidence far more effectively than a stream of words. And perhaps the strongest of all, silence in the face of insults. When someone attacks you verbally, most people expect an immediate reaction. They want to provoke you, to see if you lose control. But when you stay silent, when you refuse to acknowledge the attack, you strip them of their power. Your silence communicates that they are not worth your energy, and nothing is more devastating to an attacker than realizing they cannot shake you. Why does silence create respect? The answer lies in psychology. People respect what they cannot easily predict or understand. The mysterious is always more compelling than the obvious. When you speak too much, when you explain yourself endlessly, you become predictable, transparent, and easy to read. But when you are silent, people project their own interpretations onto you. They assume you are more confident, more intelligent, more powerful, simply because they don't know what's going on in your mind. Silence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates value. This is why leaders, mentors, and people of influence often choose silence over words. They know that mystery builds authority. But to master silence, you must also understand its rules. Rule number 1. Don't rush to answer. In most conversations, people feel pressured to respond instantly, but true confidence lies in taking your time. A delayed response doesn't make you look unsure. It makes you look thoughtful and deliberate. Rule number 2. Use silence as a mirror. When you stay quiet, others will reveal themselves. They will talk more, expose their insecurities, or even admit things they didn't plan to share. Rule number 3. Silence is not absence. It's not about withdrawing or avoiding. Silence communicates just as loudly as words. Every moment you don't speak, you are sending a message. Control, patience, and authority. How do you develop the art of silence? The first step is mastering your own body and emotions. Silence is impossible if you are ruled by anxiety, impatience, or the need for approval. Practice controlled breathing. When you regulate your breathing, you regulate your emotions, and that calmness allows you to resist the urge to fill silence with nervous chatter. Learn to listen more than you speak. Observation gives you information, and information is power. Train yourself to use fewer words, but make those words precise and intentional. And most importantly, detach yourself from the fear of awkwardness. Most people break silence because they feel uncomfortable, but when you embrace silence, when you see it as strength rather than weakness, you gain control over the dynamic. Silence also has hidden benefits beyond respect and authority. It allows you to think more clearly, to avoid saying things you might regret, and to maintain emotional control in tense situations. Think of great leaders in history. Many of them were not known for shouting or constantly speaking. They were known for their presence, for the way they could command a room without saying much at all. True power is rarely loud. It is calm, grounded, and deeply controlled. Silence gives you that edge. In fact, silence is often the foundation of charisma. Charismatic people don't overwhelm others with words. They don't try too hard to impress. Instead, they know how to create space, to hold attention with pauses, with eye contact, with presence. Their silence makes people curious, and curiosity is the first step to influence. When you can make people wonder about you, when they lean in to understand you, you already have power. Of course, silence must be used with intention. Silence in the wrong moment can be misinterpreted as weakness, passivity, or indifference. The key is balance. Use silence to control the pace of a conversation, to show authority, to force others to reveal themselves. But when it's time to speak, speak with clarity and confidence. Silence creates the stage. Your words, when they come, must deliver the impact. The truth is, silence is not passive at all. It is active power. The loudest person in the room may capture temporary attention, but the quiet one holds lasting authority. Silence allows you to shape perception without forcing it. It makes people listen not because you demanded it, but because they want to. Once you master silence, you will notice a shift. People will see you as deeper, stronger, more intelligent. They will respect you not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't. So remember this. Silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It is strategy. It is one of the most powerful tools you have in human interaction. Use it to think, to control, to influence. In a noisy world, silence will make you unforgettable.